two, one. All right. Welcome to Going the Distance, the Rocky Series and Creed podcast. I am your host, and with me today is Katie and Kyle. How you guys doing today?
Doing
Good.
well.
How are you?
Doing well. We, as the time of this recording, Katie, do you mind sharing the great news about your update, if you don't mind?
Yeah, I got my first dose of the Moderna vaccine yesterday. So, I can get back to living a normal life here pretty soon.
That's awesome. And Kyle, are you scheduled soon, or do you know?
For me, it'll be a while still.
Okay.
If I gain 60 pounds, I can get it.
All right. Well, we're rooting for you.
So I might try and push hard.
Is obesity like a condition or something that warrants?
Like the stage of the rollout we have where I am.
No pun intended.
Like a certain age, or if you have certain health conditions, and like severe obesity is one of them. So
all right. Well, everyone pull for Kyle that he'll gain 60 more pounds, or wait until the vaccination is ready for his demographic.
I had to travel though to get mine. Meaning, in the Denver metro area, there's I kept refreshing and because they recently opened up to all ages to get the vaccine. So of course everywhere there's no appointments available. So I just traveled to a small town outside of the Denver metro area because they had appointments available, and I'm like, screw it, I want it.
Sure. Absolutely. We'll take it
sooner rather than later.
Yeah, once everyone gets it, we can, like we're saying off camera, get back to normal. And I get mine.
Yeah.
The first one, I get my first shot. I guess there's two. I get mine end of April, and then I hear it might be May at some point for part two. So I'm getting there.
Yep.
Being a military member, I guess I get a little bit of advantage. Sorry.
Yeah.
I feel bad, but okay. Well, without further ado, let's cue the music. And people are probably happy, especially Greg the First. Yes, as of this recording, the nice music will be at the beginning. But stay tuned for the end of the episode where you get to hear the cover music that many of our fans do enjoy. But it will be at the end of the episode, so stay tuned for that if you want to hear what Ryan found on the interweb of a karaoke version of "Take You Higher" or "Take Me Higher," whatever that song is by Creed. Okay, emails. Let's go.
Yeah. Actually, do you guys mind so after we talked about the prequel discussion?
Oh yeah, of course. Yeah.
So can I pitch you guys my idea for something instead of that?
No, we don't want to hear any of your thoughts. Just read the email. Do what you're told.
Okay, just quickly though. So
just joking. Yes, we want to hear your thoughts.
No. I know. I had said that I didn't love, obviously I would watch it, but I'm like, what I would rather do instead of going back in time is for him to continue on with his story now. And so now he is reunited with his son and his grandson. So my pitch is that they continue that story, and possibly Rocky Jr., the girlfriend, that they, now that they're reconnected, they move back to Philly, and we see more of them just reconnecting, making up for lost time. And then the side story can be, because this is close to my heart, that they start rescuing fighting dogs, dogs that were forced to fight or bait dogs or something. And then they start a rescue organization for fighters, but not human fighters, canine fighters. And this way we get Milo still.
You want your Milo. That's all it is.
And we still get Sly, and there's still a realistic something or other. We get to see what their family life is. And it can be called The Balboas.
Wow,
that's my idea.
I love it because number one, it's original. I haven't seen a Rocky film really without any boxing. It'd be interesting. Maybe just have boxer dogs, rescue boxers.
Well, and then he can show the little grandson like the picture of Butkus
And
and
Punchy.
but yeah.
Yeah, that's interesting. Boy, that would be a mini series. I think that would be a family drama,
Yeah.
like a This Is Us type mini series. Yeah. Yeah.
Mhm.
Look,
Yeah.
I want more Sly. Who doesn't want more Sly? I think we don't want to beat a dead horse, but this would have been 6 episodes ago when this episode was released. So, yeah, we had that little bonus episode. Check it out if you haven't already, where we talk about our thoughts on the Rocky prequel. And I think at the end of the day, everyone just wants it to be good. So by not having it, it's like the best way to not get pregnant is to not have sex. And so I think everyone's just like calling abstinence, like don't do it because we're afraid that the baby might not look the way we want it to. It's a terrible metaphor.
Actually, it's not bad, Ryan.
Okay.
I kind of like it.
Okay. All right, let's get into the emails. Let's do it.
Okay. So the other Greg, we were
Mhm.
saying we hadn't heard from him in a while. So he sent an email.
I think we made him email
Yeah.
through shame, but that's okay. We appreciate it.
Thanks for writing in, other Greg. He says, "Hello, friends. Just listened to episode 1 of season 8. Off to a great start. I will miss you all while Ryan is at sea, and I wish Ryan Godspeed. A few matters. 1, on the topic of Sly dropping out as director of Creed 2, you may recall that this change/announcement came at the height of the Me Too Hollywood controversy. In the midst of the Harvey Weinstein and the Kevin Spacey drama, there was an unfortunate allegation levied against Sly involving a young woman in Las Vegas during the filming of Over the Top. I don't think there was a crime alleged, but it wasn't a great story. Interestingly, Brigitte Nielsen came to Sly's public defense and acted as an alibi. Maybe Ludmilla Drago's role in the script played a part in the publicity strategy? ? I surmise that the woke wins played a role in Sly's vacancy of the director's chair, and I would think this pressure came from the studio and from MBJ. It's a complicated world."
Okay, so before we get on to the other discussion points, that's an interesting theory. I'd have to dig deep into seeing when the allegations resurfaced publicly regarding those early mid 80s allegations of when the story took place, and when, because I think it was like maybe a year or two before Creed 2 was filming, but the idea that the Me Too movement kind of picked up steam, I guess it was 2017, 2018, and actors were getting kind of like, hey, remember this guy? Remember this story? And Sly's story did come out. In fact, Ruben and I did an episode on the allegations, and I've pulled it on the feed. It doesn't exist anywhere. I don't think you can find it anywhere. And I don't even have a master copy of it because I remember Katie messaged me when she first listened to the podcast. Yeah. She goes, "Where's that episode? Where did it go?" And I'm like, "No, I pulled it because it was when Ruben and I recorded our thoughts on the possible reality that this may have happened. We almost stopped the show. We almost stopped the podcast because what do you do? Like if the person who I know it's like you're throwing the baby out the bathwater, maybe, but if Sly truly did the things that he was alleged of in this situation, it would be hard to carry on a podcast. I think at the end of the day, we both decided that that I did more research on this individual, and she sounds like a bit of a Looney Tune. I hate to say because it's so much victim blaming. I don't want to do that. But from the research I've done, she's done other false allegations. She's trying to get a book deals out of the situation. It was kind of like and the police couldn't find any evidence. So it's kind of like, I hate to say it, but you are innocent until you're proven guilty. I think it's always important in all these movements. Whether like if someone ever accuses me of something, I hope people will wait to hear the evidence before I'm labeled whatever it is I'm labeled by a person before I even get a chance to defend myself, right? So Sly has always denied it. He's always denied it, and I know they say deny, but there also is no evidence. And she went to the police, and they didn't find any evidence. They thought she was lying. I don't know. It's tough, right? But it's like,
Yeah.
I guess I believe Sly, and I believe the evidence. I don't know. But it's a sensitive topic. That's also why I pulled it, because it's like we kind of said this in our episode 2, and I didn't want to be like, make a stand on the Me Too movement. I just wanted it was just like, this is an entertainment podcast at the end of the day. But I've always said if it came out that Sly was I shouldn't say, but if he truly was something like Epstein type character, then I would cease the podcast. Yeah, I would. I wouldn't be able to support that type of person. through their,
Mhm.
no matter how good their art is. All that being said, that's an interesting theory, other Greg, that do we? But it's interesting theory that he's basically saying maybe the studio's like, there's a lot of noise going on right now. We believe you, Sly, that you're not guilty of anything. But however, maybe if you just quietly play a role in the film. But it's weird because he still wrote it and he still starred in it. So I don't know. He just didn't direct it at this point. What are you guys' thoughts? That was a long answer on my part. I apologize. About him maybe the studio saying the quieter Sly is involved in this film, the better, or is that just circumstantial?
I don't have much to say, to be honest, because like it certainly is plausible in and of itself. Like it's not unreasonable to think that, because your reaction there would be similar to anyone else's reaction, especially if they're producing a film. You don't want like, who was it? I'm trying to remember now. Someone like who was accused. I don't know if it's Kevin Spacey or someone else. And then like they had a movie that was going to come out, but then that movie didn't come out anymore because no one's going to watch that, or it looks bad on the people producing the movie. So if that's true, like if what he said is true, then yeah, of course, like that's plausible. But I don't know. Like to me, I'm just like, who knows? Like it's hard to come to any real certain conclusion. Like it's interesting just for banter's sake, right? Just to be like, okay, well that could be it, but yeah.
Okay.
So yeah, it's not totally unreasonable, I guess, is what I'm saying.
Yeah. All right, number 2. What was his number 2 point?
The second is in Creed 2, the restaurant scene between Sly and Drago is the easy highlight for me. I loved Rocky's line in response to Drago when asked about memorabilia from their fight. No, there's no pictures of that.
It's coming up soon. Our discussion. All right, we'll just leave it at that.
Yeah, that is a great scene.
Yeah.
Number 3 is with regard to Creed 3. I have to think MBJ is going to try to bring Carl Weathers into the film through some flashbacks. I also wouldn't mind understanding how Apollo's other children experience Adonis. They had better not take it upon themselves to decide Rocky's fate like what they did to Polly in Creed. That's a really good point. I feel like we maybe talked briefly about like that we hadn't seen, or that maybe we kind of wanted to see that as well in Creed 3, the other kids.
Yeah, that has to be addressed.
So I agree with other Greg on that point. They would be like significantly older.
Yeah,
they would have already been out of the house.
Yeah, they would be
when
12 to 14 years older, give or take. Yeah. So I agree that in order for part 3 to be something different and still be a Rocky draw, let's be honest, you have Carl Weathers and some reverse CGI aging flashbacks, his voice, even if like somehow make his voice, well, they can do it. We know they can do it. They've done it in the Marvel films, so we know the technology is there to reverse age act. They did it with Samuel L. Jackson, Robert Downey Jr. So it's very easy not easy, but they can do it. Secondly, bringing in the additional family is important to add a little bit of drama, you could say. Lastly, he asked the question about Rocky's fate. I will say this 100,000 times. They will never kill Rocky on screen. It's too much money. The Rocky character will never die on screen when Stallone is alive. I will die by that sword. There's too much money in it, as they say. You can't kill the Rocky character. It's always just something. It's the fact that we're discussing some sort of weird alternate futures or storylines or this or that or voice acting. You can't kill the Rocky character while Sly's alive. They might do it when he's dead, but not when he's alive. There's money to be made.
Well, yeah. Plus, if Sly has anything to say about it, he would never allow that character.
But he doesn't. He came out and said he doesn't own the character.
I know he doesn't own the character, but if he has like influence, right?
Yeah.
Well, I think his influence is the fact that he's the voice. But you're right. I hear what you're saying. I think ultimately, though, no, there's no money to make. The studios are always about money. They're very. What's the word? They don't like killing their money makers. They don't kill James Bond. They don't kill Batman. They don't kill. Everyone comes back because it's just if the character's dead, there's no movie. No money to be made. But it's an interesting situation because Creed 3 has been official. the Rocky, or sorry, Stallone is not, and the Rocky character is not in Creed Part 3. It's funny, I posted this news story, which is kind of old news, but I think it's final now, that Stallone will not be in the Creed 3 movie. And everywhere I posted this in the comments, everyone, and this is what I've been thinking, at least the people that posted, 95% of the posts were either I don't want to see it, it's not going to work, or you got to be kidding me. It doesn't seem like at least the Rocky audience has any love for Creed 3 without the character. So it'll be interesting to see how they do it and how they pull it off. I'm rooting for it, but boy, talk about an underdog fight to make this movie successful without Sly.
Well, yeah, if you're a Rocky fan, which admittedly a large percentage of people who watch the Creed films would probably be, you're not going to like the fact that Stallone's not in the movie. Like, it's just like, I maybe they're trying to build something new, right?
And that's funny. Yes, I wanted to work.
The fact that it's going to be maybe more of a niche film. It's not going to be like, it's not going to eclipse any of the other Rockies probably, but it's like, if they can turn a profit off it, they'll make it.
They'll make it as cheap as they can. Yeah.
Yeah. And if Creed 3 doesn't turn a profit, they won't make a Creed 4.
No.
They're not going to take the chance.
I had seen I just looked, this is all anecdotal. I didn't do any charts and graphs or anything, but I saw too, Ryan, the a more broad commentary, the more broad comments. And I would say a good majority were like what you said, but there were quite a few who were just not saying that they didn't want Sly in it, but that it made sense and that they totally passed the baton. Where they ended it allowed for that.
That's fair. Yeah. I'm
last one.
I'm always on the record saying I want it to do well. I don't want it to suck. I'm not trying to prove. I don't want to come back and say I told you. I don't get any glee out of it. I'm scared. I think of all the projects that have the Rocky brand somewhat on it. This one I'm truly the most nervous about. But maybe that's what makes it exciting, because we just here we go. We have nothing to lose at this point. So maybe it'll be very exciting and refreshing. And if it's a good story, it's a good story. At the end of the day, yeah.
Well, it will do well, because I would say most Rocky fans will still watch it out of curiosity.
They have to. I'm going to. You have to.
So therefore, it's going to do well.
That's a good point.
You know what I mean?
That's
it's hard to tell. Yeah.
The curiosity alone.
I don't know if all the Rocky fans will watch it.
No.
Well, it depends. It depends. Rocky fan or Stallone fan? And we've seen this split on the podcast too, right? There are people who are more, they just love Sly versus love Rocky. Granted, you guys are more on the love Sly side of things than just the Rocky. I'm more of the Rocky person. So I'm less inclined to see it I'm more inclined to see it because I don't I'm not a huge Stallone guy, but I also like the Rocky character a lot. So I'm still nervous, but
that's fair, and that's a great point you brought up before. But anyone who's first time listening, that's a great point. It seems like those who are strictly Rocky fans, but they're not necessarily follow Sly's career outside the Rocky franchise, they're more forgiving of the Creed films than those who are Sly fans seem to be. So that's interesting. We'll see if that continues with Creed Part 3. All right, and his last point.
Yep, point 4 is with regard to the prequel series. I hope they tread carefully. Were I them, I would try to staff up with extraordinary filmmakers and showrunners.
Yep.
Yeah, and I would definitely borrow from the This Is Us time jumps, so that the show is somehow still anchored in the present.
And that was my him narrating, Sly narrating, and him showing him kind of doing his routine in between typing and stuff. You could almost see a little bit of his life present tense while he goes back to his writing or something of the past. Yeah. Will
be interesting to see how HBO handles the Sopranos prequel, The Many Saints of Newark, later this year.
Can't wait.
Though it won't be a series. Yeah, I feel like I've been hearing about that for 10 years. So I'm listening to a Sopranos podcast right now too. So
is that the two actors from the show?
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
They recently talked about Burt Young because he plays Bobby's dad.
That's right. Yeah.
So anyway, so Greg says, I think it's a big mistake to try to recast and revisit the Rocky Adrian love story. I think Sly's posts about the prequel series may emanate from some ego games and counter programming as a response to the studio announcing MBJ's helming of Creed 3. Absolutely,
Sure.
Greg. I fully agree.
Sure. Why not? Yeah. I mean, it's Hollywood's competitive, man. You know, it's a lot of egos. Absolutely. Absolutely. There's egos. Nobody's checking their ego at the door here. Yeah.
Sorry for being long-winded. Stay golden. The other Greg.
Well, we're long-winded, so I am, anyways.
Yeah, me too.
That's
Kyle,
awesome.
Thoughts?
Yeah, Kyle, give us some long-winded thoughts here.
Yeah, well, that to me, that kind of, I think that reflected our discussion, really. Like, I think where he's kind of on point with us. I still think, from just a me perspective, I would prefer to see a Mickey sequel. I would find that more interesting.
Prequel.
I don't like, not sequel, sorry, prequel.
Yeah.
I don't like messing with a great film like Rocky I like the mystery. I've said that lots of times before, and I hate cracking that open for nostalgia. I hate that shit. So, like, it better be good.
Yeah, it better
Mickey,
be good.
I don't care as much about. You could fuck up Mickey all you want, right? Like, to me, in my mind, that's a safer prequel. But
Agreed.
I think for marketability, a Mickey prequel wouldn't do well. Like, the Rocky prequel, because that name Rocky,
Yeah, that's true.
that's going to sell the tickets. So that's the one they're going to make.
Okay. All right. So now we're going to roll into Seiko's 4-part. I think it's, if it's not 3, it's at least a 4-parter. He gave us like 4 emails worth of stuff in one email. So we talked about this, but we have to divide it up. We have to divide it up.
Okay. Okay. So, all right. Yeah, I'll just try and find a natural stopping point then.
I think I found one. Where he says, "That's a champion."
Oh, did you?
It's down a bit. You'll see it. It's a bit, yeah. But we'll just
Okay.
read it. We might just let the email speak for itself and give a brief comment.
Does this thing have like a thesis statement? And
well, Seiko is a bodybuilder. He's very fit. Seiko is probably, he's an interesting character. He's probably the most conceited listener I have, or that we have. He is absolute. Oh boy, this guy. And I don't mean like conceited. Yeah, that's true. And confident and arrogant, but he owns it. Like, this guy owns it, and I'm saying this with complete respect. And he knows me, and we talk offline all the time together. So if he hates me for saying it, I'll go back and edit this out. But this guy, is absolutely. He's a alpha male, totally to a T, chest thumping. But that kind of confidence, he's got a beautiful woman, and he's got a great physique. He's smart. He's intelligent. Speaks multiple languages. I mean, he backs it up. So
is he the Dutch guy?
He's from the Netherlands, yes. And I always say he's from Germany, and I apologize, but as far as I'm concerned, he's from Germany. No, he's from the Netherlands. But he's a character, and I love him. He sends me some really funny stuff, and he's a big Star Trek nerd too, which is really odd. Okay, all right. So here we go. Here's part 1. We don't know how many parts will be, but here's his Creed 2 thoughts. But here we go.
Okay. Ridiculously long email on my Creed PTSD is the subject, which I found hilarious. Okay, Creed 2. First of all, let me say I'm a proud Patreon, one of the first, I think, of the Going the Distance podcast, and I'm very, very happy with the additions of both Kyle and Katie to the team, who bring unique and different perspectives to the podcast, making it much more enjoyable to listen to. Kyle has real thought-provoking observations on every episode, and Katie offers that fresh perspective of the first-time viewer, and both really help reset any preconceptions you inevitably have after seeing these movies dozens, or in my case, hundreds of times, making every episode a joy to listen to.
Yeah.
Well, that does.
Man, this guy sounds like a jerk.
No, I didn't say jerk.
No, I was kidding. I was joking. He's like the nicest start to the
He's great. I'll tell you, he'd be a fun guy to hang out with. But you better check it. This guy does not check his ego at the door. I'm telling you that right now.
It's hilarious that he thinks I'm a first-time viewer because so I'm not a first-time viewer.
I think he might be. I saw that too. I think it's maybe, especially with the Creed films, you're more. Me too. We haven't seen them as much. Maybe.
Yeah.
We're
yeah,
like,
yeah,
I
yeah.
forgot about that scene. We did a lot of that during
Oh,
Creed,
got
so
it, yeah.
that's fair. That's fair. But yeah, we'll let it slide. Okay,
Yeah,
here we go. Now he's gonna,
You're your last chance there. No, I'm kidding.
Yeah.
Okay. So he says, well, that doesn't go for the Creeds, ...
Mhm.
I saw Creed 2 in the theater with my best friends. They're active competitive in kickboxing and traditional boxing and look at it more as a sports movie, whereas I'm more into the drama. And yet, in our own way, we're all lifetime Rocky fans, as is pretty much anyone who is involved in competitive sports, as the themes Rocky touches on are universal and Rocky inspires everyone. Creed 2 is inspiring and emotional too, but not because its central character is interesting or admirable or even remotely likable. In fact, the charisma vacuum Adonis Creed is none of those things. He's in point of fact the opposite of them. Adonis as a character is simplistic and cliche and predictable. He's a piece of cardboard.
I told you.
Empty.
Well, by the way, so far.
I know.
Oh, he says it very. He's very articulate.
Oh.
He's very smart.
This guy bothers me because his writing is, I think, better than mine. But
Yeah,
this is
It's one of
not
his
his
3 or
primary
4
language.
language. I think he speaks at least 4 languages. I know it's ridiculous. These smart Europeans, get out of here. Get out
I
of our
know.
country. Oh, wait a minute. All right.
So he says he's a piece of cardboard, empty. That's why he comes across as a deeply flawed person at best and irredeemable asshole at worst. None of his traits were acting choices or scripted, but the result of plot holes. And yes, I realize this opinion might not be popular to voice, but I'm sick of people praising these derivative creeds over the Rocky saga. I have strong feelings on this subject, and not in the least because I have serious misgivings about a Creed 3 with this mediocre actor making his directorial debut in a franchise that I have deep and lifelong connection with. But we live in 2021 and Hollywood has stopped caring about my purchasing power or for that of any other Rocky fan. It's the sign of the times.
And I will say this about Sequel. What I love, no apologies. What I love about it, is not that this is for any of our listeners who, I won't say any names. I'm just saying, I'm not saying that I agree with them necessarily or disagree with them. But what I love about any of our people that email is they don't have a show to worry about. They can divide the listeners, but it's not on me. It's not on Katie or Kyle. This is Seiko stating his opinions, but there's probably listeners who are agreeing with him. And I will say this for the record, and this is we don't get a lot of listeners to the show. It's not like I get 10,000 episode or anything, but I will say that the Creed downloads are half as much as the Rocky downloads. And
we got to get this
That
guy
says
in a
something.
room with Greg the First.
yeah, well, I know these two are debating the merits of Creed. Yeah,
That would be the best episode. Like Ryan just moderates it,
Oh,
and
yeah.
these two just go at it. I would love that. They're both smart, well-spoken people, right?
Yeah.
So
I just want to make it
Yeah.
clear that I agree with a lot of stuff Greg the First has said, and I'm agreeing with a lot of stuff the sequel say. I can understand both people. I understand what they're both. That's the moderator in me. I understand where both are coming from. But anyways, I just want to make that clear that the Creed films. There's been a couple times where I'm like, man, I want to get through these fast. Not because I need downloads. That's not what I mean. But I can tell that. I think there's people, and Seiko is one of them. But thankfully, he still listens to the show. But there are people who stop listening because they don't want to listen to us talk about the movies they don't like, and that's fair. Why would you? So okay, all right. Let's continue with. We'll keep going here. 2 more paragraphs, and
Okay.
we'll make this part 1. Okay.
Okay, so then Seiko says, there was never a need for a Creed film, let alone a Creed 2, but I'm grateful for them regardless because it gave us more Rocky scenes, even though he's not really Rocky anymore. He's now Unk. It's all about Donnie and his self-absorbed, horrible wife and their sad kid.
Oh, geez.
Jesus Christ.
It's the baby's fault.
Like he went after the fucking baby.
I told you.
And Rocky says, now the baby's not sad. Don't feel sorry for her because she's not feeling sorry for herself. So Rocky even said that.
That's right.
So
Where did we
Okay,
get to? I'm following you along here. Where are we?
it's all about Donnie and his self-absorbed horrible wife and their sad kid, and all their scenes are boring and just drag on. If Stallone had directed this, he would have given us a nice montage of their highlights over an inspiring, uplifting rap song. Okay, I'm being facetious. The meat of Creed 2 is the what happened after Rocky ended the Cold War by beating the unbeatable Death from Above. What happened to Drago, who embodied socialism and collectivism and threw off his yoke after the 14th round? Screaming his existentialism defiantly at his dystopian leadership in an act of courage on par with the deeds of Muhammad Ali. The champ said no to the draft that wanted to send him to Vietnam, to which he remarked, "Why? No Viet Cong ever call me the N-word," paraphrasing, of course, but truer words have never been spoken, and incurred the ire of an entire nation because he dared to have his own opinion. He went to jail for it. That's a great man. That's a champion.
Well, I want to keep reading, but I don't know. Like, what do we do here, guys? Could do one more
Okay,
paragraph.
I will,
One more paragraph.
One more, because it still talks about Drago.
Okay.
Okay, so Drago in Rocky IV, at the start of the final round, when his entire audience cheered for his opponent, only wanted to go to the end, to go the distance with his enemy, who he now respected. He became the lone underdog in the last round, and Rocky, draped in the stars and stripes, now became the political instrument, giving a cringe-inducing political speech. If Stallone makes a cut in that movie, I hope it's that platitude-filled slurred ramble at the end. Yeah, it shouldn't have been all about nationalism, but Apollo and the last scene should have been. But Apollo and that last scene should have been at Creed's gravestone. Instead, yeah,
I like that.
I mean,
too.
there was a scene at the Creed's gravestone with Donnie. I mean, that was nice.
You saying in part 4, you know, when they had the funeral, they should have they should have had Rocky go to the funeral at the end of the film and give him the belt saying, "It was always you. You was the champ."
Oh,
So-
yeah. Yep, at Creed's gravestone.
Yeah.
Instead, the two characters became juxtaposed. A great premise.
Okay, well, so we'll stop there. Thoughts, Kyle?
wow, that was such a great, well-written
Mm-hmm.
email so far. I honestly, it does annoy me that he could write better than I can. But okay, so
Yeah, we're friends on Facebook. I see him post on other like public pages and stuff, and I swear he does it more than one language. Yeah, he's one of those people. Anyways,
one of those people.
one of those people.
Okay, there is a lot to digest in that email, so I'm trying to like come up with a response on the fly that kind of covers everything he said. I don't think I'll be able to. But
Yeah, we don't have to. I think the email does speak for itself in some ways, but yeah.
I do agree that the Donnie character is not anything special. I maybe don't hate him as much as Seiko does, but like, yeah, like it's not comparable to Rocky in any way, right? And that's why we're afraid of Creed 3, because it's like, well, shit, you certainly can't have a movie about this guy and it be that successful, because
Right.
like no one likes him that much.
Right.
Like there's some scenes where he's a bit charismatic, but yeah, he's not. I also don't hate Bianca quite as much as everyone else, basically, but it's because I think she's attractive, so I let a lot of stuff slide.
That's
Is that
fair.
how that works?
Yeah. For a
Yes.
lot of- yeah. Sure.
Yes, that is how that works.
There's
Katie.
there's a crazy to beautiful scale that men will do. Like, if a girl is crazy or not a great personality but is pretty, there's a certain
Okay.
ratio where you can like, but you can't have a ugly crazy person. That's
Okay,
that's
have
ridiculous.
you seen that YouTube video? Are you referring to that, Ryan? There's
I
a
mean-
guy who does like he draws the graph, and Katie, I'll send it to you.
No,
Oh.
I'm familiar with it, but that
Oh, okay.
dude is a misogynist a-hole.
Of course
and
he
it's
is.
Of course
inaccurate.
he is. Of course he is.
It's a joke. Okay, it's a joke. It's a what, it's an
No, but it's not even accurate. Like I understand what you guys are saying. Like you'll
Right.
put up with crazy, you'll put up with no personality as long as somebody's hot, but for only for a while. Like
Sure,
you wouldn't
sure.
want to marry that person. I would
No,
assume.
this is like someone you'd want to like have a fling with or something.
Right.
Right.
Like I get that.
It's
like
a joke. It's a joke.
yeah. No, but this,
Don't beat me
this
up.
was inaccurate.
Don't beat
No,
me
I'm
up.
not talking about
I
you,
know.
Ryan.
I
I'm
know.
saying that guy's. I didn't care for.
I haven't seen it in a
Big
long time.
shocker.
I
Yeah,
gotta
it's just
revisit
not-
it. I gotta revisit it
It's
because
just presented. I don't even think it was accurate. But I
you
do
are a
think-
strong, powerful woman, and you don't have time for that kind of jive.
that kind of jive.
I will say something, and this is a bit dickish on my part. I'll acknowledge that right away.
All right, well, we're used to it.
His thing about Muhammad Ali going to jail is not true. Muhammad Ali didn't go to jail. He was sentenced to jail, but he was out on bail for appeal, and his appeal went to the Supreme Court, and he won. Although he did sacrifice because he lost his championship because he lost his boxing license. And financially, he suffered quite a bit as a result because he had to be a sparring partner for other people to support himself. And his prime years, those 3 years he was on his layoff, he couldn't fight. And when he came back, he was noticeably different. So I don't want to say that technicality just to undermine his point, because I think his point's still valid. But as a big Muhammad Ali fan, I don't think I think that's a bit of a stretch, to be honest, though. Drago, I think Drago turning to those guys was like emotional in the heat of the moment thing. And I don't think that's quite the same as Ali taking a stand like that and basically going against this whole country. Like, I think Ali's thing was a little more deliberate, where I think Drago more lost his cool. So there is a parallel. I acknowledge there's a parallel there. It's not like they're totally different, but I think they're different enough to warrant the questioning that comparison. But overall, I do think he has some interesting points.
All right. Well, there you go. We're going to save part 2 and maybe part 3. We got through quite a bit of that for the next couple episodes because they bring up great discussions. We don't want to do it all at once. And I think that it ties in with the Creed 2 discussion, so it's easy to do. So thank you, Seiko, for that amazing email, and maybe divisive email. There might be responses to that email as we go along. Okay, so here we go. Oh, sorry, you're going to say something. I just
I was just going to say that it's sort of like now we've got two ends of the spectrum in terms of emails from people. Like one super in love with creeds, one really disliking creeds, and so.
Oh, yeah, I agree.
Yeah.
Good.
Sorry, guys.
That's it. That's all.
I need to take a quick bathroom break.
Okay, I can pause it. I can pause right now. All right, so Kyle, you're back. You good?
Yeah, I'm all good. Thanks for your patience.
Of course. All right, so let's get into it. We've got 15, 20 minutes of talking about Creed 2, the movie. I feel
like the actual movie playing lately is like an afterthought. We just like talk about emails and stuff.
Well, it's like we said before. It depends on the email traffic. If people don't like it, they won't send it, or people skip it. Which I don't know if you're listening to this now and you skip our emails, let us know. I'd be curious if anyone does. That's okay if you do and you listen just to the film talk. That's fine.
Are we recording right now?
Yeah, we're recording.
Okay, so do we know where this was filmed? Just out of curiosity, like all this Ukraine stuff.
I can't look on my computer right now because I'm recording.
While we're talking, I'll look it up.
Okay,
I'm curious.
So our last scene was, of course, when the promoter dude, I keep forgetting his name.
Buddy,
thank you. When Buddy came and talked to the Dragos outside the parking lot and said, hey, yeah, Adonis has won the championship. We're looking good here to offer that fight. So here we go.
You ever thought about going back to LA?
Please. You a Philly girl.
Yeah, I guess, but it'd be nice to have more space. And your mom's out there,
And them labels, too.
could help me get my music out to more people. I don't know, I feel like I've done everything I could in Philly. No? Time ain't exactly on my side. You know?
All right. So, yeah, important plot point here, of course. She's hinting at the fact that her hearing is deteriorating. If she wants to get some record deals and get some exposure, the LA music scene might be better than the Philly one. I guess it's probably true.
Well, it seems like most people in the States, if they want to make it big, go to either LA or New York.
Yeah, they don't go to Philly to start their music career.
Yeah, like even unless you're the Roots, and even they go to New York. So
yeah, that's right. Good point. Yeah, good call. So that's what's happening here. It's pretty standard good interaction here about the couple saying, "Hey, look, we know we have a life together. You're champ. You can be champ in LA. I don't think you have to live in the city where you won the belt or where you can move around." And his mom, yeah, we forget his mom is in LA. Good canon continuity there as she's in LA still. But of course, we know what's coming up. He's worried about who he's going to leave behind.
What about Rocky?
Rocky has his life, T. We gotta start ours.
All right, that's a good point. I have kids. Kyle, you have kids. Rocky's kind of like a father or uncle figure, father figure to Adonis, and so I made sure I told my kids. I have 2 adult children who are 22 and 21. And I got 4 more to go. Shoot me now. Anyways, I told my older kids, I said, never, ever, ever, ever make any decisions based on me. 0. Where you want to live, what you want to do, what you want to look like, what you want to watch, eat, think, feel. Just
I hope smoking crack's exempt from that, though.
Well, there you go. Don't start smoking crack because of me either. Like, don't.
Well, don't not smoke.
Yeah.
I'd be like, okay, if you're not going to smoke crack solely because I told you not to, that's fine. But
thank you, Kyle, for taking away my point here. The point,
I'm sorry.
No, because I think it's important, and I think everyone who's an adult would agree. When you make decisions based on what your parents might think, that's not a way to live. And I want to make sure that my kids know that live your life, not my life. I'm living my life. I've certainly have made decisions not caring what my kids think in the sense of like, my job, military moves. So like I got to live my life too. And I want my kids to do the same, but there's still some adults who are like, oh, what's my mom or dad going to say if I do this? And it's important you live your life to a degree where, here, put it this way. Sorry, I should say, if it happens that your choice makes them happy, then that's great. Like that's just a happy byproduct. But some people won't make decisions that they think will make them happy because their parents won't be happy about it. Is what I'm getting at.
Well, I agree with that. Like, yeah, you shouldn't do stuff because it'll make your parents upset. However, I think in this case, I think Creed's worried about how it'll negatively impact Rocky. That Rocky won't say you can't move to LA.
No, he won't say that.
I think Rocky's the first guy who will support him in his decision. And he's like, don't worry about me, kid. I'll be fine. But I think Adonis is like, he probably feels like he almost looks after Rocky a bit and like.
Oh yeah, you're right. You're
Rocky's something to live for.
Good point.
So I think in that sense, like for example, I'll just, since you gave your situation, I'll kind of give mine. Like my kids live near both their grandparents. And my parents would definitely support me if I moved away. Well, my mom would at least. My dad probably would. But like that's a big consideration for me.
It is, absolutely.
Is because like I don't want like if I move I could move away, but it's like that relationship between my kids and their grandparents will be to a degree severed, right? And it's like I'm worried about how both groups will feel.
Right. If you had a job offer that paid double what you're paying now, 5 hours away.
Yeah, like if it was a good job, yeah, I'd take that.
And that's what Bianca's saying. She has opportunities in LA that she can't
get.
No,
I agree.
Philly. Yeah, but I agree. I'm lucky too. I'm speaking as a privileged person because both my parents and my wife's parents live here. So my kids get the grandkids and grandparents. So I'm lucky. But even when I went to Quebec, that was hard. That was one of the things that made it hard about us leaving for 2 years. It's the first thing Becky and I said was, we're taking the kids away from the grandparents. So it wasn't easy, yeah. But my parents were very supportive, and so was Becky's. Knowing that we were coming back anyways made it a little bit easier. But that pause in that relationship is tough, yeah.
Because I wonder if Adonis thinks that, like, and maybe wrongly so, that, Rocky won't have anything to live for now that he's gone. Mm-hmm. And that Rocky will be lonely and sad, and basically he'll fuck up his life, right? And I think that's a situation where Adonis might be unselfish and not self-centered, possibly, which is rare.
Yeah, I agree. It's sweet, it's endearing, but also I it made me think that what they don't do is talk about Rocky's cancer in this movie. Like we don't know if it's gone, if he's still dealing with it. Like we don't know.
That's a
So
good
he
point.
might be thinking like, we don't know.
I think it's 5 years officially. You're a cancer survivor after it's cleared.
But we never knew, even at the end of the first movie, like we
I
don't
think it's
know
just
what
assumed.
happened.
It's that it's in
Yeah.
remission. It's in remission, but after
Oh.
5 years, if it doesn't come back, you're classified as a cancer survivor.
Now,
So-
I don't know anything about non-Hodgkin's lymphoma at all. Just going off the film, like the first Creed film, the doctor seemed to think it was quite a treatable cancer. So, given that, and that Rocky went through treatment, it's more likely that he's cancer-free than he isn't. So,
True.
it's safe to assume he's probably fine.
Yeah, he has all. Of
I
his,
mean, we see that he is,
Yeah.
but I'm just saying
Yeah.
that they didn't touch on it. Yeah.
Yeah, all of his
Yep.
plugs are back. Yeah, I mean his hair. Is back.
Yeah.
So speaking of Rocky, he's at his home now taking medicine. Which, yeah, we'd probably assume it's probably cancer medicine. Keep it in remission. Drink some
All old people take some sort of
yeah, that's true.
And look at the picture on the fridge, you guys. It's the Rocky 3.
Breakfast
Rocky
of
Jr..
Champions, Wheaties.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's the
Good
Rocky
meat.
3 kid. Yeah, so we have Adrian with baby Sergey in real life. But yeah, baby Rocky Robert there. And then we have Rocky 3 Rocky snuggling with his daughter. I mean, his son. Because this this actor is now a woman.
Oh, I forgot about that.
So I'm actually saying the truth. The actor playing Rocky Jr., Robert here, is now a woman, and I really wanted her on the show. I've reached out to her on Twitter, no response, and I think she would have a story to share. I would like to hear it, quite frankly, but that's okay because this is not very often that an actor from the Rocky series has transitioned, so it's kind of cool. She's an advocate, obviously, for that. Community, because according to her Twitter, so it'd be an interesting voice to have that we've never had on our show. So maybe I'll try reaching out to her again. But anyways,
I want to mention something with this fridge thing, real quick.
yeah, of course, that's
First
what we're
of all,
looking at.
this Harvest Gold fridge gives you flashbacks of my childhood. Mostly because we were poor and we didn't buy a new fridge. But as an aside from that, though, if I could have like a fantasy job, it would be for films like this that I really like, being like a designer that decides what goes on the fridge. Like just little details. So like the pictures are obvious things, right? But I'm like, what are these papers? Like, what are these notes? Like, I'd love to have just little nuggets
Well,
in
that's
there
a-
that only like true fans would
Well-
see that you can plant there. And
We've got pharmacy, so he's got his pharmacy notepad, and he's got commissary low price. So it looks like maybe it could be a medical bill or like a receipt for the medication. Definitely has some bills here. It looks like some bills and notices to pay. Probably for his
he
restaurant.
probably mails his bills with like checks still and stuff, I bet.
Sure, yeah.
Yeah. And then the magnetic bottle opener. So
Yeah.
that he has a few pops occasionally, if you know what I mean. And yeah, and then some sort of I don't know what that is there, but I don't know. Honestly though, I'd love to. I was watching my wife and I are watching Law and Order reruns lately. And you go to these like murder scenes and there's, all this junk around. I'm like, man, that's my dream job is to set all that crap up. I would it wouldn't even be, I would do it for free if I could.
Oh wow.
Really? So what is that, like
Yeah.
a set prop designer?
I guess
or-
Yeah.
Set design. Yeah, set design.
Like if I
props.
won the lottery and didn't need an income,
Wow.
I'd just be like, hey, I want to be a set prop designer for free. I'd just show up and just do that. That'd just be so fun.
Interesting. Interesting insight.
All right. I like it.
Nice musical cue as he's reminiscing on the photos of his son.
And he still wears a wedding ring.
It's a cold one today, Adrian. That's
I
for
would.
sure.
If I was
Would
his
you?
age. If I was his age and I wasn't planning to remarry or anything, I definitely would.
Oh, interesting.
By my age now, I'd take that off and get on the Tinder and start swiping and. Just kidding.
I go on Grinder. I mean, okay.
Or Grinder, sure, why
I
not?
probably have more luck. That's for sure.
Oh my god, you had have. Okay, the mark. Okay, you have to edit this out. But the market, like, I think men and women are just as sexual as each other.
Mhm.
But I think there's one group that is willing to fuck strangers a lot more than the other group is. So, yeah, like if you're a woman willing to fuck strangers, the world is your oyster. Like there are so many people you could choose from.
It's true. Woman
Anyway,
control.
sorry, Ryan.
They
that
do.
caused you more editing
And
stuff.
okay, we could be wrong. We could be wrong. But here's the thing: no guy goes into the bar and says, "Oh, I can't wait for those girls to buy me drinks today." So that's your key right there. Like men don't get to do that. We don't get to say women are going to buy me drinks. I talked to Becky about her. I call her bar star days when she was single, and she would tell me, yeah, she never bought a drink. She'd go to the bar, she never had to buy a drink. So I did. I did.
Yeah.
I did.
I bet you did.
All right, so let's. Katie, do you buy drinks?
Yeah. A lot of times I don't. I would much prefer. I don't want you to come talk to me. So I like.
Why are you single? I don't
I
understand.
know. Well, I mean, if you're hot and I want to, I mean, like
If you're Seco
very,
buying the
very
Katie a drink,
few, very few people do I want to come over and take up my time. If I'm with my friends and I don't see someone attractive at the bar, I just want to hang out with my
has
Don't-
a
yeah.
guy successfully bought you a drink?
yes.
What was his line? Do you recall any line that worked? Was it or just the old fashioned? Hi, how are you doing? Can I buy you a drink?
Well, no, only after it's like clear that I like him. Like then he just it's no line. Like it's
Oh,
not a
okay.
line. It's like it's clear we
Do
actually
you remember
wanna
any
get
bad
to know-
lines? Do you remember any?
I mean, just the typical ones. You're just so beautiful, like that. Well,
Yeah,
You know,
Kyle,
like-
Kyle and I know. We get that all the time. We know.
no,
Yeah.
it's like.
By the way,
like,
what I mean by the fucking strangers thing is it like there's not a lot of women there who will just go online and be like, hey, I just want a bunch of dudes to fuck me.
yeah, no, it's a thing. I
but
know.
but there's a bajillion fucking guys who just want to go online and be like, I want to just meet some random person I don't know and just fuck. Not have sex, not make love.
Oh yeah,
But fuck.
Yeah.
and it is
Yeah.
women do like to do it too. Of course, when I was single, when I was divorced, and this definitely won't be going on the iTunes one, but for my mom to hear. But it's not a big deal. But I was on a couple dating sites, and I got proffered from a few females. I will admit, and one was literally she messaged me saying, I'm on my way home from work right now. Can I come over to your house for sex? And we've never met before. And I'm like, no, like that's weird. And my kids are here because I was a single dad with kids, and I'm like, that's weird. Like, it was ironic. It wasn't on, even as a guy. Speaking as even as a guy, that wasn't like exciting for me. That wasn't something that I got it. Yeah, because it's I was like, no, that's kind of gross. It's kind of weird.
Yeah, I know. Even because guys they're like, oh, women can get laid anytime they want. Well, yeah, if that's what you want to do.
Exactly.
That's like-
That's
Good point.
exactly it.
Yeah.
Like I think for men, it's like in that realm, it's hard to find someone who's willing to do that. But then it's like on the female end, you could find a bunch of guys who would want to have sex with you, but it's like there's so many creeps and weirdos,
Yeah.
Yeah.
and
And
like
coconuts and
it's slim pickings in a different way.
Yes,
and
yes.
yo-yos and coconuts. Yeah. Anyways, I apologize for going off the rails.
I gotta use a bad word here.
Yeah.
Whore.
Whore.
Yeah,
Is that how we
sorry for
pronounce
talking
it?
about Tinder and shit. So
All right, so let's do Rocky's grave scene here. He's talking to Adrian. Yo, Adrian, I got to use a bad word here. You're a whore. Oh, we've lost all of our listeners. Okay.
It's a cold one today, Adrian. That's for sure. I tried calling our son, Bobby, a few times.
Can you
but
stop
I'd
it?
hang up every time he was about.
Wait, yeah.
Okay. Did you guys, okay. This annoyed me the first time I watched it, the second time I watched it, and when I saw it just now. When have they ever called him Bobby?
I know.
This is the first time. His name is not Bobby. They've never called him Bobby.
The only
Robert.
I know the
It's
only
Robert.
I could think of is because Rocky's name is Robert. Maybe they just called him Bobby to differentiate between the two of them. But I know
No,
I'm being
he's
devil's
always
advocate.
been Robert.
I know.
No.
I know.
This is one of those scenarios where I think he forgot
Sly wrote
that.
it.
Yeah, he forgot that his kid's name is Robert, not Bobby.
Also, I have another observation. What wasn't it in the Balboa film? The gray, like he put the chair up in the tree, right? Because he's
Yep.
there all the time. Wasn't that tree quite a bit closer to the grave? It seems like there's no tree anywhere near where he's sitting.
They cut it down. They cut it down.
Yeah.
They're sick of that chair. They cut down the tree.
It's like we thought that's what would make him leave, but it didn't.
Well, there's the tree behind the like bushy tree.
Yeah.
Yeah, but that's not the same tree.
Oh, I don't know.
Thunderlips chopped it down.
On our son, Bobby, a few times. But I'd hang up every time he was about to pick up because, to tell you the truth, I didn't know what to say to him. I mean, what if he's moving on and I'm like this chunk of yesterday trying to be today? It just don't fit in. I mean, what am I supposed to do? Knock on his door and say, hey, how you doing? What's it been? A lot of years? I don't know. Miss you.
All right. Well, another Adrian conversation with Rocky. He had this little black ball there too in his hand. Any further thoughts on that little visit, or it speaks for itself?
First of all, I think that is a great way you can inform your audience what's happening. Because we don't actually know how often he talks to Robert until we're told that. And what a great way to tell it. Instead of like that's what he would do. He would say that to Adrian, because who else would he say it to? Like he could say it to Adonis or someone, but of course he's going to say that to the gravestone. And it's yeah, I don't know. It's weird. This is kind of personal for me, but like there is a gravestone I visit that I talk to. Like I don't believe in like ghosts or even an afterlife or anything, but there's, I'm kind of more talking to me.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
and I do it out loud like that, just like that. And so it's like, to me, that's really believable, good dialogue and a good way to inform us what's going on with Rocky and Robert. And I think I understand what Rocky's saying there, because it's been a long time and, he hasn't reached out to Robert, but then again, it sounds like Robert hasn't reached out to him either.
Yeah, we talked about that. Like, who's the bad father, bad son? Both people aren't talking, and you spend enough time not talking, it just gets more and more awkward.
You would think that the grandkid would be the reason he'd call, right? Because people having kids is really hard, and the dividend you get is eventually grandkids, because you get all the fun, cool kid stuff without that parental responsibility being ground down by the kid stuff, right? And so he should be all over that grandkid and, calling him and talking to him and being interested in him, even if he doesn't have a big relationship with Robert. So that should have been the segue there. So to me, that says something. If he's still not calling because of that and he doesn't know what to say, it's been all those years. Like, once you find out that kid exists, that's the reason to call now. Like, that's the icebreaker.
Agreed. Although the same could be said for Robert, like, you have a kid, don't you want your kid to know his grandfather?
No kidding. Especially, and this is a spoiler here, but we know that they see each other at the end, and the kid doesn't recognize him, which means he hasn't seen a picture of him or anything. Like that's weird. Like they need some family therapy. Something's happening there.
Well, this can all be done in the Balboas.
Oh, there you go. Yeah.
The series. Yeah.
Good.
I'm telling you guys.
good way to come back around. And we'll end it there because the next sequence is the not right away.
good.
It's getting good. We got the Dragos coming to visit the Balboas at the Adrian's Diner. So that's coming up soon here. Yeah, that was awesome. That was episode, oh boy, I think 6 maybe of our Creed 2 coverage. Join us on Patreon. Yes, if you want to come on Patreon. Again, you're supporting the show. You're supporting what Dave Burrell said a couple of shows ago, where he said he became a patron after 5 years. And he says, Ryan, you don't have to do anything additional. This is just me saying thank you for 5 years of content. So if you're new to the show and you want to say thank you, even for as low as $1 a month, you get 20 people doing that. That helps pay for this ever-growing network that we have on the show. Because we have other shows now on this podcast network. We got James Bond podcast. We have a Dolph Lundgren podcast. We have a Bruce Willis podcast. And we've got 3 Sly podcasts, all on this network. And it's not free to host this stuff, guys. So if you're actually helping me, you're actually helping Ryan host. I'm paying for it. I'm footing the bill for all these shows, by the way. So you're helping me and helping these other creators. We're all independent tomatoes. We're a bunch of soup kitchen operators here. So we appreciate the help. Also, if you want to send us an email, gtdwithrr@gmail.com. Follow us on Twitter. Follow us on Facebook. And yeah, we appreciate everyone that does listen. We do appreciate it. All right. Katie, I think it's your turn.
Is it? Oh, okay. Ding, ding.
All right. Stopping recording.